What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at X-Force Archangel. That's right, he's here, looks good. Let's see what we've got going on. Let's check it out. As promised, today we'll be taking a look at Archangel. So let's see what we've got going on. Taking a look at the packaging, we are in a deluxe size packaging here. You can see a big box. Maybe not so much going on inside of this deluxe release, but you do get an extra set of hands. You have an extra head. You got these big wings. You see the effects in the back. X-Force logo at the bottom. There's your top logo. Flip it to the side. We've got Marvel Legends Archangel. Cool image down at the bottom there. Flip it to the back. We get to see a great big image there. Really like that. You got some of the other X-Force members in the back there. Important information at the bottom. Here's your blurb. After having his feather wings mutilated by the Morlocks, Apocalypse turns Angel into the deadly Archangel. Flip it to this side. We get a larger image there. Your X logo at the bottom. But let's get him out of the box. Fresh out of the box, we'll get a quick look at the base body here. So we are on the modified Vulcan, sort of similar to the Angel release, right? You do have that modified upper torso to allow for porting in the wing pieces. Extra hands back there, extra head. Here's a look at one of your wings assembled. We'll take a look at each individual piece. You have 3 pieces per wing, and then they'll port in the back. So each wing has your main piece. This will be the section that ports into the back. Your smaller wing piece will port here, and then you have a sort of bracket here for your larger piece that you can see ports in on each end. And the wings do have a left and right indicator. I don't know how well that'll come out on camera, but you can kind of see the L right there. Again, each side will have its own. It makes it a little bit easier, and the pieces are marked accordingly. As I said, each section does have its left or right indication there. You can see the L ports into the bottom portion. Again, the larger peg will be porting into the back of Archangel. Your larger wing piece, again, you'll see the left or right indicator down there, and that just kind of sits right in. You can see the ports at the top and bottom there. Here's a look at Archangel with the wings. These wings have a really nice span on them. I do wish they were a little bit more metallic in the finish. They've got this sort of semi-metallic lighter gray for the wings, which looks fine, but I think back to like the previous Archangel and how really metallic those wings looked. I feel like that would have looked a lot better on this one, but for all intents and purposes, I like the wingspan. I like the upgrades, right? A much better system than that previous Archangel for the porting. So, you know, a little good, little bad, whatever. All in all, I think I'm excited just to have this version of Archangel in the display. I never had the older version. I've been holding out, and that wait paid off. So let's take a closer look. Moving in closer, we can get a good look at this first head sculpt and the body design. So you'll notice the silver area, it is a semi-metallic finish, right? It's not as glossy or metallic looking as the older version of the X-Force Archangel, but it's also not a flat gray. So somewhere in the middle does give it a good sort of shimmer. I like the added effect. Instead of it being a flat gray, I was kind of afraid they might go that route. At the end of the day, you know, some of the team for these black and gray suit X-Force are a little bit more dull. Some have a little bit more blue finish. Some are a little bit shiny. It's kind of all over the map, but I personally prefer this sort of shine to it. It just looks better to me. You can see the curvature of the wings here really highlights that massive span that you have for these. It's going to take up a lot of space on the shelf. That probably is my only major concern about this figure, and it's a good problem to have, right? So I like that. I like the display posability options. Of course, you can adjust those wings however you need, in, out, whatever. And really modify them. Maybe if you don't want to put the larger wings on, you can sort of hide these back pieces and just go with the smaller set, whatever's going to work for your display, right? Here's a look at your alternate head. So we've got a nice expressive face there, really angry, yelling, mid-flight type of expression. So I like that. I've always said, if I'm getting a figure, I want two head options, one neutral, one expressive. They've given us that here as they should have, right? It's a quote deluxe figure at deluxe price. So extra heads, certainly something that I like to see here, and both seem to be executed pretty well. You've got some good detailing in there. You can even see some additional shadowing in the eye area just to give it more depth for that character face. So I really like how well executed both of these head sculpts came out. And that's a nice, like, big scream, too. So it could come off a little weird, but yeah, both of these heads look really nice. And I also wanted to see how the sort of unmasked Archangel head from our previous deluxe Archangel would look on this. And I think that works out really well. I was afraid it might not fit properly or maybe look a little small, but proportionately, I feel like that looks pretty good. Having the firing effect here is such a cool touch, right? Not something we had on any previous version of Archangel. And the way they have it designed, it just sort of clips right on the base of the wing there. You can see sort of that tri-tip, and then just sits right there and holds in place. For your hands, you do get a set of fists, and you get a set of open hands. For comparison, here he is backed up against our previous deluxe Archangel. You'll see back there what I was mentioning earlier about the wings, the more metallic appearance of this version, I do think is a much nicer look, but again, doesn't really take away from this new one. It does have a metallic look. It's just a lighter look. So that really is a personal preference thing, not a major detraction. Another big upgrade to the new version is the buck, right? So we're on the Vulcan as opposed to this being on that Bucky Cap mold. So it's still a nice looking figure. I don't think it looks that outdated yet, but people are going to want it on this bigger body, right? It does come out as a little bit nicer and this looking outdated in that regard. But when it's on the display, it's in flight, still think it looks like a nice figure. Another big change for these figures is the port system for the wings. So this older version has a sort of backpack that just plugs into the center of the back, into that hole that was in the Bucky Cap mold, whereas the more modern versions are going to have the individual ports for those wings. For your articulation, the head will look down to there, chin touching the top of the chest. Head will look back to there, so you've got range all day backwards, like that, good for the flight pose. You do get some movement around, side to side, only a little bit of rock, of course, all the way around. Arms do work all the way around, no butterflies because of the modification for the joints in the back there. You do have that upper bicep cut, double jointed pinless at the elbow. Nothing at your forearm, even though this body does give you that sort of break, and then your hinge at the wrist. You do have your ab crunch, hip swivel, leg will kick up and out to there, back to there, out to there, double jointed, pinless at the knee, boot cut, hinge, and swivel at the ankle. Your wings will have several points, so plugged into the back, you do have that main point there, which gives you your back and forth. You do get a rotation there as well. You've got the hinge here for the larger wing, and then you've got a separate hinge for your smaller wing in the back. So again, you can move it all kinds of directions. You can bring it inward, outward, put your wings in separate areas, depending on how you're going to display. All right, folks, well, there you have it. There is your X-Force Archangel from Marvel Legends. starting to hit in some areas at this point, probably still a little bit of weight in other areas, but it's cool. It lives up to the hype. It is a figure or a version of a figure that I've wanted for quite some time and just never wanted to pay up for that older version, right? I wasn't collecting that deep back then, and things have changed since then, right? But sometimes the patience pays off, and this is a case where that happened, right? So for me, it feels worth it, right? I understand there are some concerns and valid ones at how we reached this price point for an Archangel figure when 5 years ago we paid $19.99 for a deluxe, what would be now considered a deluxe Archangel figure, right? You got multiple heads in there, hands, etc. So not a whole lot has changed, but 5 years is no short period of time either, right? So you got to give and take a little bit on that one. At the end of the day, I'm getting a figure in my display that I've really wanted to get. And that's what it's really all about, right? Pay what you're willing to pay for what you want in your display. Anyway, folks, that's the 2 cents. I appreciate you checking out the video. Of course, you can always find me on any of these socials down here. Most importantly, though, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe below. And until next time, take it easy.